And we are live. Welcome to Pistons Jack Fan Reacts. Before we get into today's show, I actually don't have a guest lined up. I had someone pull out last minute, which is totally okay. So if you want to come up on stage, chat about tonight's game, uh, please shoot me a DM now, and we'll get you up here and we can chat through what was a pretty tough night in Boston, or just the Pistons in general. These are the kind of games where it's more of a time to zoom out and have a look at the team through a different lens. So um, shoot me a message if you want to come up here and chat Pistons, chat through the loss, or whatever topics you would like to discuss. But as I kind of alluded to, it was a very, very tough night in Boston. The Pistons lose 99 to 123 at TD Garden to the Celtics. And it was kind of felt like this game was getting away from the Pistons towards the end of that second quarter. They kind of kept it uh, around that 10-point mark in the first half, up until halfway through the second quarter. And then the Celtics just kind of kept hitting threes. The Pistons couldn't hit a shot. The second half, you kind of got a sense pretty early in that third quarter that the Pistons just didn't have it tonight. And if you look at some of the team stats here, Boston, the Celtics shoot 20 of 48 from deep, 41% from three, 50% from the field. They got to the line and shot 85%. And then the Pistons, kind of the complete opposite, 42% from the field, which felt higher than what it looked like, and only hit 7 threes. I think they hit one of 16 in the first half. And the Celtics, not only do they keep taking threes the entire game, but tonight they just made them. Peyton Pritchard killed the Pistons. He had 27 points, 7 of 15 from deep. Feels like he's played well. Every time the Pistons have played the Celtics this season, he's a really good player. The Pistons kind of don't have anyone to guard him. In theory, they do, but it just feels like Pritchard can just kind of, it's more of probably a product of the Celtics kind of 5-out offense and how much firepower they have in terms of, inevitably it just feels like they only have to swing the ball 3 or 4 times and then an open shooter. So Pritchard benefited off that, but he also made some really tough shots, and he scored a game high 27. But on the Pistons side of things, considering this was one of those games that you kind of felt like was over early, I think these are the types of nights where I think probably a month ago, I just as a fan would have watched it and been incredibly frustrated and angry. But I think whilst by no means am I happy with the result, I think now in these types of games, I'm trying to watch some of the younger players and the things they're working on and some of the things they might be getting better at in these, you might want to call them garbage time minutes. Like that's kind of what they are. But I think Ron Holland, Marcus Sasser tonight in those minutes, showed some real positives. And I want to start with Ron Holland, who scored a career high 26 points. He did so. I think he shot 11 of 13 from the field, 2 of 5 from three. But he actually scored 20 in the final quarter, which was crazy. So, some people are like, because I posted on Instagram before, being like, Ron Holland played really well. And some people are like, I don't care. It's in the last quarter. But honestly, I think for me, watching Ron drop 26 points is kind of a culmination of him just continuing to play much more controlled in the past 2 weeks. And, you're seeing him make better decisions as a passer on drives, particularly in transition. Earlier in the season, he really struggled with kind of some tunnel vision. But I think we're seeing him make just the right reads. They're simple passes. And then tonight, he hit a turnaround jumper, a couple of threes. he did cherry pick a couple of times in transition for a dunk, but you know what? When it's the games like this, I'm cool with that. So I thought really positive game for him and kind of just a nice reward for him because, as I mentioned, I feel like he's been playing in a much more winning fashion, is the way I want to say it, and just more in control. And I posted on Twitter after the game just kind of his stat line, and a lot of fans are like, start Ron. And like, I kind of get some are just kind of saying it out of frustration because Jaden Ivey's struggling right now. And so is Tim Hardaway Jr., who are in that kind of position. And I will get to them. But I think Ron is honestly like in the perfect role for the type of player he is. Like, if you go back all the way to summer league or the start of this season, like Ron can be out of control sometimes. And I honestly feel like if he came into this team last season when all the young guys were playing like 30 minutes a game, his development might have been a bit different because I think he's really benefiting from having a more controlled environment. And, you know, JB will give him 5 minutes. And if Ron's playing well, he'll give him another couple. But if Ron's struggling, he'll pull those minutes back. And I honestly think JB is doing a really good job of developing a player like Ron. And I think he's, like I said tonight, you just saw the benefits of Ron's improvement. And uh, I don't care for a rookie who's like 19 years old. 26 points is 26 points at the NBA level. So shout out to Ron. Good to see him get some reward. And for us fans, like in a game that was pretty brutal, it's always nice to see a young guy at least have a moment as a rookie. So shout out to Ron. Uh, got a couple of questions in the chat here. Shout out to Samson. I hope you're doing well, man. What do you think of Asar in his short minutes? Uh, like I think that was Asar's sixth game. It's I've seen like a fair bit of Pistons tweeters frustrated with the 2 to 3 minute bursts he seems to be playing. Um, I think he's looked really good in some stretches. Like defensively, the Pistons just, Ron is a similar archetype to Asar, but he's just not the same size or level of athlete. I think just watching Asar, like, I don't know, this might be a bit like NBA nerdy, but like just watching him, like the way he slides his feet, like a man does it as well. The way they can just stay on the hip of their opponent, like at a crazy pace. Like the opponent will be dribbling full speed with the ball, and Asar just has this crazy ability to like sit on their hip and like glide alongside them and shadow them. Like, so that's just been really enjoyable to see. But he seems to be really struggling with his finishing around the rim. So maybe that's just a touch thing. He's still trying to get his timing back. It looks like he really rushes around the rim. I'm not sure if that's him being afraid, it's probably a bit too far, but a bit concerned about going to the free throw line. But he seems to just really rush around the rim and it's falls short, like even on finger rolls, which is like just kind of weird to see for a guy like Asar. But I don't even know the total amount of minutes he's played, but I'd be surprised if it's over 110, 120. So I'm just happy to see him on the court. Defensively, he brings something to this team that no one else does. So, he had a really, really cool play on Jaylen Brown in kind of the first quarter where he just overwhelmed Jaylen Brown on the baseline and Brown dribbled it kind of off his foot and it rolled out of bounds. Just little cool moments like that where I truly don't think many other players on this roster are able to make those kind of plays and just overwhelm their opponents. So, yeah, he's been fun. I'm really excited to see him get back to a place where he's playing 20 minutes to not only just benefit this team defensively, but help him find more of a rhythm offensively. Because right now it just feels like he's in, out, in, out. Hard to really build some consistency. But appreciate the question, Samson, and keep killing it, my man. Kyle Metz. What's going on, Kyle? I wore my Ivy jersey all day in church and it didn't help him play better. Yeah, I guess I've done my positive on Ron Holland. I think we may as well talk about Jaden Ivey. It's tough. I kind of was, I mean, I'll be honest, I was really hoping for a major bounce back game from him tonight. I was looking at his recent stats and his past So in his past 6 games, so 5 games since that Indiana Pacers NBA Cup game a couple of weeks ago now, Jaden's pretty much he's had an 8-point game in there. He hasn't shot close to 50% once. Highest scoring game was against the Knicks the other night, 16. 10 points tonight, 3 of 14, 2 of 9 from deep. Um, it's just like just not going to cut it. You can't have a 5-game stretch like that, even in year 3. Like in my notes here, Ivy really struggling right now. Unfortunate, but he needs to really step it up. Can't be this inconsistent even in year 3. So yes, he's a young player. Inconsistency is kind of what is his biggest downfall right now. There's obviously plenty of other areas to improve upon, but it's you just can't have those types of stretches. Like he had clearly inserted himself as this team's second leading scorer. And to be honest, after this 5-game stretch, he might be behind Malik Beasley now, in terms of just what the numbers say. It's been really rough. And I thought just in tonight's game in particular, he just took way too many threes. Like he's shooting 38% from three. I like that he's shooting them, but you got to attack the rim. Like there was times where Luke Cornett was switched on to him, and I know Cornett's a better defender than he looks like, but Jaden's just settling for threes, and I'm just like, get into the paint, man. Like you're down like 20 points. Like I don't know. I know you want to go for the three. You'd hit a couple in to start the third, but I just thought he was settling way too much. And even when he gets into the paint, I feel like tonight he took like a pull up mid range and a floater, both short. He just seems to have really lost his touch, especially inside the arc. And, just a little thing I've noticed on his pull up jumpers is he rarely ever follows through, and holds that follow through. And that's something our man, Dave Dalton has been huge on, Pistons fanatic, about Jaden holding his follow through, and feels like on those pull up jumpers, he's just not doing that. And they're always short. They're always short. And to be honest, they haven't looked like they're close to going in lately. So tonight, coupled with the previous 4 performances, it's, I've spoken a lot, on this post game show and on other platforms about how you extend Jaden Ivey, but I think we're getting to the point now where 5 really below average performances. He's really got to turn around. He's got to have like a stretch now where he has like 4 really good games out of the next 6, or else I don't think it's a lock to extend him, because this inconsistency, um, you just can't have it alongside Cade, who I don't think was perfect tonight, but in the first half, like when the game was still there, even with the Pistons were down, it just felt like there is no one else on this team that can take the pressure off Cade. And particularly when Cade's off the floor, it just feels like things fall apart. And it didn't feel like that prior to maybe, I want to say the first 10 to 15 games. It felt like Jaden, yes, he can still be inconsistent, but it still felt like when Cade was off the floor, the Pistons had a chance. Whereas now it's starting to feel like a bit like last season, not overall, but just in the sense of like when Cade's not there, everything comes to a screeching halt. So Jaden needs to pick it up. Like this is probably my version of calling out a player. Like he's got to be way better. He just does. So, we've got Kyle out here wearing his jersey to church and we're putting all the good vibes out for him. So I hope Jaden can turn it around, because, I think his first 15 games of the season, um, as well as that game against the Raptors where he hit a game winner, and had that awesome game in Indiana, like he's had some really down games, and you can't have that. This Cade needs more help, and it's crucial for the Pistons going forward that Ivy figures it out, because you can have one down game. If this is his first game like this after a good game, an average game, okay, but not your 5th straight in a row where you just really struggle to find a rhythm at all. So it's kind of my thoughts on Ivy. I'm just going to move through some more comments here. Theo99, Ivy had a brutal game, 3 of 14 shooting. Yeah, we just touched on that. I don't really have much more to say, but brutal is a great word to describe it. Shout out to Sean Haddix, always in here supporting the channel. Throw this one out. Shout out to Lob Ron Holland, though. Yeah, I think I said a little bit earlier, like this type of game 2, 3 weeks ago, definitely a month ago, I'd be losing my mind and I'd be coming on here pretty uh reactionary. I think though we're kind of just seeing who this team is now. I think one of the positives is for me, you kind of don't really get a good sense of who an NBA team is until at least 20 games into the season. So the fact the Pistons are now 10 and 16, it's not great. Their record should be a game or two better. But I think we are kind of starting to see this team is what a lot of people predicted, 28 to 32 wins. I feel like that was truly what I saw most people at least talking about wins wise for Detroit. I know like Bleacher Report and ESPN and those other outlets had the Pistons more around 24, 25 wins. But I think a lot of Pistons fans were thinking 30 wins is kind of, the average win expectancy. And I think that's still where they're trending. And it's why I'm not kind of losing my mind. And I've got a really exciting episode coming out this week with my man Carl Metz, just looking at some potential trades for the Pistons. And when you start to look at trades for Brandon Ingram, for Zach LaVine, it's pretty tricky to make a deal. And I'm actually all for making a deal. It's not something I'm going to like bang the door down for, because I would like to think, and I'm not trying to be picky here, that the Pistons could maybe get, like, there's part of me that just has a hope that there's a better player the Pistons can go all in for maybe in the off season. But it's tricky to make a deal for Ingram or LaVine right now for the Pistons. So that's kind of why I'm just okay with where we're at. And like Sean says, I'm just willing to throw this one out. Ron had a solid game. Let's talk about that. And we'll definitely talk about some more of the negatives, but I'm not totally losing it and saying bench player X, Y, and Z or trade everyone. But yeah, appreciate you, Sean. Austin, my man. So Austin says, no magic left. Tough shooting night. Defensive lapses. As you've said before, burn the tape. Not much you can take from this one. So for those that might not know, Austin has DM'd me at least 2 times this season before big games to say he's going to come on the show like well in advance of the game. And the Pistons won both. So we thought we had a little bit of magic going there. So he DM'd me this morning saying, I can't make it tonight, but hopefully can keep the good luck going. And unfortunately, as you say, it's just going to be a game where you pretty much burn the tape. Some nice highlight moments for Ron. Some stuff he can take from that. And like I said, Marcus Sasser, I thought, was solid in his limited minutes. But yeah, well said, Austin. I'm a bit sad about the Magic touch. But hey, maybe we can just look at it as a record thing. It's 2-1. So we'll keep moving with it. Seeing Ink, that was painful to watch. It was. It was. The painful stuff for me, like the second half, like, because honestly, in prior seasons, I might have turned that one off. But the second half is like kind of once the emotions removed, I just enjoyed watching some of the younger players or players who don't normally get minutes. But yeah, definitely in that second quarter when I think they actually got it back to 9 points. And then the Celtics, it felt like hit 4 threes in a row and it was out to 18 and it was just ball game. They're the painful moments for me at least. But I completely feel you saying, Ink, if that's how you describe the game. I feel like a lot of fans would. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate you, Samson. As I said, for anyone here that's, Samson does excellent work for Raptors Republic, covering the Raptors. X's and O's guy, knows the game extremely well. So if any of you are into just the NBA in general, definitely go give Samson a follow on Twitter. He's an awesome guy. Does great work. Seeing Ink, Tobias messed his finger up, so hopefully he's healthy by the trade deadline so we can give him away. I thought you were going to say hopefully he's healthy for next game. Yeah, look, that did look kind of nasty. I'm not I think it was his thumb, they were saying on the broadcast. Maybe I missed the actual official update, but the Pistons actually don't play until Monday now against the Heat at home, which is going to be a tough game because Miami, last time I checked, were 12-10, and Tyler Hero went off last time against the Pistons, but it seems like they're playing a lot better recently. But I hope Tobias is back for that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's out. But yeah, no comment on the trade deadline stuff. Theo 99. Fontecchio is the Pistons' most disappointing player after Durant. We all thought he would be a key contributor for this core. Yeah, I think oh, you might be right. You might be right. It does feel a bit much to say he's the most disappointing after Durant, but when I think about it, he probably is still playing below where we thought. In terms of I think some of his struggles have come from I know, just speaking for myself, I was a lot higher on Fontecchio prior to the season because I thought he was going to have a bigger role. I had him as a starter, and I thought he was going to still be a guy that gives you 10 to 15, maybe more on great shooting, but he's kind of become the eighth, ninth, some nights 10th man in the rotation. So I think he's probably still struggling with that. Um, I think he's shooting the ball a bit better recently, but yeah, there's definitely been some stuff with him where uh, his lack of a handle and um, just his decision making at times has been a real struggle. I feel like a lot of fans would agree with me in the sense that when he's dribbling, it just there's a worry that it's going to get stripped at all times. So uh, yeah, he's been a little bit disappointing, but I think his role's also been significantly reduced to what we probably thought heading into the season. We'll get to some more questions here, but speaking of Tobias, I think tonight was the first game in a while where all three of the Pistons' key veterans just really, really struggled. Tim Hardaway Jr., 6 points in 20 minutes, 0 of 3 from downtown. Tobias, 9 points in 26 minutes, 1 of 3 from deep. Did some other things, but just didn't score when the Pistons needed it. Malik Beasley, that might have been Malik's worst game of the season. Only played 16 minutes, 5 points, 0 of 3 from downtown. So can't recall a game where all three have been that bad. So that was a real key theme earlier in the season on these streams was how the Pistons vets, you need at least two of them to play really well to have a shot. The team's evened out a little bit more since those first couple of weeks, but yeah, normally Malik Beasley, you don't expect a game like that from him, rarely, from what we've seen this season. And then the other two, normally one of them will play a bit better in Tobias and THJ, but yeah, they really, really struggled. And I like this here from Beastly Arrow. The Celtics are far more talented than us, but it sucks to see them execute far better at this point in the rebuild. Process better than results. But it sucks to see them execute far better. Yeah, the Celtics are just way more talented. And I think another one of the reasons why I wasn't losing my mind too much tonight because Boston they're the best team in the league, I think, when fully healthy. I know they didn't have Jason Tatum tonight, but the spacing and just the way they move the ball, they're so unselfish. There was a highlight play where I think Porzingis passed it to a cutting Cornet, who then kind of threw it over his head on point to. Oh, sorry, I just saw a wild comment. He's going to throw it to Derek White in the corner, who to three. They just really swing the ball around. They're unselfish, and they just hit so many of those dagger type threes from the logo or 6 feet behind the arc at the end of the shot clock because they have the confidence to take them, and their coach empowers them, and they make them at a decent clip. And it's just kind of those backbreaker threes that when you're playing a team that talented just end up killing you. So it's hard for me at least, to get too frustrated tonight. If this was the Miami Heat on Tuesday and the Pistons lost like this would be a different story. But the Heat, like I said, are playing better, but I'm not giving them a pass. It's extremely disappointing to have a game like that, but it's really hard for me to come on here and just make huge conclusions about this team against that Celtics team. I know people will be a lot different to me, but they're just my thoughts. Um, the other notes here, I kind of had just some stuff on Cade. I think I sort of touched on it earlier, but Detroit this season or definitely next season have to find a second guy. Um, I spoke about Ivy needing to be better, but I think where I'm starting to settle with him long term, and I'm still comfortable extending this type of player, is that he's going to be your third scorer. I think the Pistons need to find a second or primary scorer, and preferably they're a big wing or just a front court player of some sort because it just gets to a point far too often, at least recently, where Cade's just kind of having to do everything. And I think some of it's him putting it on his shoulders because his teammates, to open these games. They started well against the Knicks, but in 4 out of the past 5 games, it feels like this starting lineup's just not clicking. So that is probably something I'll be interested to see what JB does because I still think I know Jalen Duren didn't play tonight, but for me, Duren and Stu, I don't think starting Stu makes too much of a difference because they're pretty much splitting minutes at the moment. For me, it's more about getting some more firepower in there from the jump, and helping Cade and this team just get on a spark and build some positive momentum and put some scoreboard pressure on. Because the Celtics tonight, they couldn't hit a shot for the first 6 minutes, and normally when you're on the road in particular, that's your chance as the Pistons to get a nice 8 to 10 point lead early in the game, just to build that confidence against a good team. But the Pistons were even worse. They literally were 0-12 from downtown in the first quarter. So um, for me, short term, I would really, really push to start Malik Beasley over Tim Hardaway Jr. just to get some more scoring punch in because Tim Hardaway Jr. just hasn't shot the ball anywhere near at the same clip as he did prior to the head injury. Um, so I know Beasley's a bit smaller than THJ, but I just think if Tim's not hitting threes in that first quarter, it's really hard for this team to get on a roll and to help Cade get on more of a roll. So it's not just him dribbling into the paint, running pick and roll, dribbling in circles, trying to kick it out to a shooter. That's nice that he can do that, but I feel like it just slows the offense down way too much, and it it just feels like the other when watching the Celtics, they're a great team, but they just swing the ball, they move the ball a lot, because they have trust in each other to hit those shots, and they take a lot of threes. But the Pistons, it just feels like recently it's Cade dribble for 10, 15 seconds, kick it out to a shooter, and hope they make it. Especially with Jaden Ivey just not really firing at all on offense in the past week and a half. What else have we got here, guys? White guy next door. I missed the game, fellas. What happened? I saw stuff about the team not giving enough energy. Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I don't. The energy thing. I wasn't. I think they just couldn't. They generally couldn't hit shots, and the offense just got bogged down and was too over reliant on Cade. I didn't feel like the energy was bad. I actually liked some of the defensive energy in the first quarter. Um, I thought Isaiah Stewart in that first half was excellent on defense. And you immediately see the impact he can have. He had an awesome block on Kristaps Porzingis, which was probably the highlight of the game, or at least the highlight play for Detroit. But it wasn't an energy thing for me tonight. It was a talent thing, and just potentially some flawed lineups, and particularly that starting group might needing a bit of a shake up at the 3 position because they just haven't been able to score. And it feels like they're always fighting from behind recently. And I know that's not great for the team's confidence when you're playing teams like Boston, New York, Boston again, tough stretch. The fact they beat the Knicks is still a big positive in those 3 games. So yeah, I'm sure there's moments where the effort wasn't great, but at least for me personally, I wasn't sitting there watching this being like these guys aren't trying, where there's been moments of that during the season. It was more just a talent thing, and Boston just are way too good honestly. And the Pistons just don't have the size on the wings, um, at least with a SARS minute restriction. Uh, and they certainly didn't have the size on the inside without Jalen Duren, because the Celtics at some points were playing 2 7-footers. They had Porzingis and Cornet out there. It's just too much. So, yeah, not a good game. Plenty of negatives, few positives, but yeah, it wasn't an energy thing for me, but could be wrong. I think you're right, Kyle. Tobias, I just don't see him getting traded. Partly because I just don't know what other team would really want him. I think he has more value to Detroit, and you potentially could move him in the summer or next season. But yeah, we shall see. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. By the way, I didn't know what to expect tonight because these games tend to be the ones that, understandably, no one really wants to come and talk about. But you've given me plenty of stuff to talk about in here, so I appreciate all of you as always. Jay Wowen, 33. Ron Holland needs more playing time. I touched on it earlier. I'm fine with how Ron's being used right now. Like I'm glad he had his 26-point game, but I can see why. I just think JB is utilizing Ron really well. He, like I said earlier, he will give him his 5 minute stint. It feels like each half. If Ron plays well, he gets more minutes. If Ron's struggling, he plays less minutes. And Ron's a bit of a volatile player that can be up and down. Tonight he was up and he got the minutes, even if they were all in garbage time. A lot of them. I just think JB's doing a good job with Ron in particular. So I get why fans definitely want to see him more when he has a game like tonight, but the context is important. Like, I'm super happy he scored 26, and I'm gonna push that and celebrate that. But at the end of the day, it was in garbage time. 20 of those 26. Even though I thought he was really good uh, when the game was more competitive in the first half, like he had some really nice plays, cuts, and finish in transition. I just think JB is using him well in the right role right now. So, but I appreciate your comment, Kyle Metz. I assume this is about Jaden Ivey. He's not confident in his finishing off free throws, so therefore he's going to settle for jumpers a lot more. Yeah, it feels like he's finishing tonight, especially like he tried to drive on Porzingis, I think, in the first quarter and didn't have much success at all. And then he tried a left-handed layup and airballed it in the second half. So I think you're definitely right there to call out the confidence, but I still just want to see him attack. Like 2 of 9 from three, I think your 15 shots being from three, or 9 of your 14 shots being from three. That balance isn't. I don't like that balance, unless he was scorching hot from three, which he wasn't. Appreciate you, Sean. Yes, guys, if you're watching, if you could please like the video. If you haven't already, subscribe. We'd really appreciate that. If not, though, thank you for watching anyway. But thank you, Sean. You're always in the comments hustling for me, so I appreciate you, brother. I'm just going to quickly check to see if anyone DM me, see if they want to come on here. Oh, actually, we might have someone. Just let me reply. Just going to... we might have a guest here, and this will be a first-time guest, which would be awesome to chat Pistons with. Just going to drop them a link, and we'll see if they jump on. But as we were saying, I kind of forgot where I was at, to be honest, guys. But we might have a guest, which is great. So moving on here, Beastly Arrow, C and Ink. On the bright side, that Beast You defense doesn't care if you are 7-3, you'll still get blocked. Absolutely. How good. Like, I know it's it's not going to be remembered at all, but I just thought that that block was elite on Porzingis. Like, Stu used all 7'3" of his wingspan to get up there and block Porzingis, but that was a fun play. It was right at the start of the game. I posted it on YouTube. I'm sure you can see it anywhere that posts Pistons highlights. Like, that was a bit of fun, and it was I thought he followed that up with a great possession on Jaylen Brown not long after, switching on to him. And, Stu in general. Yeah, his defense this season's been excellent. So I'm actually going to do some content on that during this upcoming week because I think it needs to be highlighted just how good he's been on that end for the Pistons in his new role. Nick, I missed the game. Was Duran sick? I think it was a wrist sprain, I believe. So that's why he didn't play. But we've got a special guest here, guys. Just going to pull him up now. What's going on, my man? Thank you so much.
Hey, how you doing, man? Can you hear me okay?
I got you. Yeah. Bro, you came through. I thought I was going to be solo up here.
No. I saw you, and I really like what you're doing, man. You're doing it pretty different, and it's pretty fun to watch.
Appreciate that,
hearing
man.
your different takes and stuff like that. And you're in Australia, so that's a whole different ball game.
100%. Well, what I usually do is I get first-time guests just to talk about how they became a Pistons fan and that kind of thing. So let us all know.
I've been a Pistons fan. I watched the Pistons since 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
Just during that championship run. I live in Kentucky, but I have a lot of family that are in Detroit. So we would go there, constantly, and we actually got to see them beat the Lakers, not in person, but on TV and whatnot. So I've been a fan since then, but I haven't really been watching the NBA until 2009, 2010. You know what I mean? I'm only 30 years old, so
yeah.
So I watched religiously almost every game since the Reggie Jackson days, before even Reggie Jackson, the Brandon Jennings days,
Brandon Knight
days.
Yeah.
Being from Kentucky, he played. He was a point guard for UK. So it's I think I'm starting to see not the light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm starting to see the shadow go away.
I love how you put that. That's such a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Because I think after a game like tonight, a lot of fans feel a bit like
I don't feel defeated. I really don't feel defeated.
Yeah. Well, tell me your thoughts on tonight's game, and I'm definitely keen to hear your thoughts overall on the team and how they're trending.
So, initially, I was I'm just never gonna set myself up for failure. I'm never gonna be like, this is the year, this is it. I owe my buddies like 5 dinners because I keep telling them we're gonna get over 30 wins. So I owe my buddies like, I lost all the bets. But anyways, this year definitely beat my expectations. We're an actual NBA team who can beat almost any team now, which is different from last season, obviously. I mean, we had Killian Hayes, for crying out loud. And I was giving him so many chances. I was waiting for him to just, start getting it, but it was never going to happen. But I think the outlook for this team currently, the way it's constructed, is good for getting our guys to develop. That is the most important thing. Getting Asar Thompson developed. Ron Holland, sure, but he's not something really that, he's not part of the project. Cade Cunningham, obviously. Jaden Ivey is starting to get it. Cade, he's been getting it since, you could just tell it's in his DNA. Jalen Duren, I'm not going to lie. I thought this year would be his step-up year, but I'm still waiting on him to do something great. He's been kind of mediocre compared to last season. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Isaiah Stewart has been stepping it up. He has discovered in himself. One, I kind of did like how we were treating him as a 3-point threat last season, and he hasn't been much of a 3-point threat, but he's been taking that defensive identity role, which I think is the definition of Detroit grittiness.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't really think. I love seeing Marcus.
Sasa.
Yeah, I love seeing him.
That's honestly, man. Like, it's. I'm not going to say he should be getting more minutes or anything like that, but all I know is whenever he's got an opportunity this season,
yeah,
he shoots the ball really well and he makes a defensive play, and it's just it's one of those things where the rotation, you look at it and it is hard to find a consistent role for him. But then I'm like, at the same time, like whenever he comes in and the ball's swung to him in the corner or above the break, like I just feel like he's gonna knock it down or he's gonna hit the floater.
Right.
Um, so it's interesting with him.
No, he plays tough. He plays super tough. And then also he also plays like he has a chip on his shoulder. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Being I'm sure shorter than most guys, but his IQ is really what shines. I think being in the college atmosphere for 4 years, right? So his IQ and all that is, I think it supersedes many of the bigger guys that get more minutes. But no, as soon as he gets minutes, dude, he just lights it up every time, and
yeah.
he
I
always
mean,
makes the right plays.
I agree. And if anything, maybe one criticism I probably have of JB recently, because of Jaden Ivey's struggles just in his last 5 games, I'd probably like to see him go to Sasa a bit earlier
Hmm.
because, like you mentioned there, Sasa, 4 years in college, he's 24 years old. He's just really polished offensively
Hmm.
and has a confidence, knows who he is as a player. I would probably like JB to go to him a bit earlier.
I would like to see more minutes. But I think this year JB is, especially probably hearing it from upper management and whatnot. They're probably just saying, "Get Jaden. We're not going to make the same mistake as last season."
Yeah, yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? So he probably doesn't even want to like mess with that too much by hindering Jaden Ivey's growth. But another thing that I think we are just terrible at, and it seems hopefully we're getting better, are free throws. We
yeah,
are terrible free throw, and we don't even get that many free throws. But I just wish we and then especially Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. There are veteran guys who are constantly shooting threes, and are supposed to be our guys that we rely on free throws.
yeah.
But then we just get in this free throw rut, I noticed, where we're like 56%, 60%, 70. And I'm like, if we just made 80%, we probably would have beat half the games that we lost.
Yeah, it's definitely been a frustrating thing. Like Cade, Ivy, Duran has really dropped. Tobias even has missed some weird free throws. Like
Yeah.
he, I feel like he's a career 80% guy. Um, so yeah, I'm with you. It's been a weird one, and we've had a couple of games that could have been decided with free
Either way,
throws.
yeah. But I really
So
I like our team. I am
yeah,
actually I was telling my wife the other day, I'm like, this is the first time I'm actually starting to see
yeah,
our team go to the next level, and I've been watching this forever. And it doesn't feel like, the Jaden, no, not the Jaden, the Reggie Jackson days where
yeah,
it's like this is the ceiling, and
yeah,
this feels like we can actually build on it, make some trades, get some actual backups,
yeah,
maybe like even having like good players during practice makes our guys better, you
yeah.
know. And I'd really like to see what's going on with Jalen Duren, because he just seems like inactive on the floor.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think he someone asked in the chat
Deflated.
earlier about the team's energy, but I think JD's energy this season has been probably one of the more disappointing things. Sometimes it looks like his confidence is low, sometimes it looks like he doesn't care. Sometimes it looks like he doesn't care because he's not getting the ball enough on offense and he looks a bit dejected, but um yeah, I think it's definitely more of a mental thing for him, like with the effort and then also like an understanding of where to be on defense. But I think the more disappointing thing has been the lack of effort at times.
Yeah. Yeah, and one area of effort that we never get enough of, and I love it, is Asar Thompson. I
Yeah.
could just tell he was trying to make this game his game. When he started off, I think he was he trying to dunk it on, I can't
Tried to
remember.
dunk on Porzingis.
Yeah, I was just
I
like, this
like
is a great way to start, and and
it.
and that and that was the Asar Thompson of last season that I remember. And
Yeah.
he's kind of been like just slowly getting back up there, especially with having a blood clot at his age. It's kind of scary. But seeing that old Asar Thompson doing hyper athletic kind of things like that was nice. But
Definitely.
we lost the game we were supposed to lose, so I'm not too bummed out. We beat the Knicks. That was a hell of a game. seeing Cade Cunningham post a story back to back to back to back, showing actually how happy he was nice
Yeah,
to see.
yeah.
Who do we have next?
We
Are
got
we going West?
Miami.
Oh,
Miami on Monday. Well, Tuesday for me in Australia, but it'll be Monday night for you guys.
jeez, man, I don't know how you do it. I told you
But-
we were in Italy about 3 weeks ago, 2 a.m. in the morning, watching us lose to the Bucks.
So I don't know if I explained it properly to you though. It actually works so well. So every East Coast game for me, so 7 p.m. Eastern for you guys in the US is 11 a.m. for me. So
Wow,
so it's middle of the day.
yeah.
Man, that's why I'm like doing this full time because I can't watch games live when I have a full-time job. And like
How do you
I
do this
wanted
full time? I've always because I remember I when I first seen your videos pop up, I was like, geez, that is insane.
Yeah, so I started just this for this season. So a lot of my stuff was on Twitter. Like I haven't been on Instagram for very
Yeah.
long. Like that's only a recent thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, but I've done stuff on Twitter for a while, like some writing and that kind of thing. But then I was working in social media for our league down here in Australia, the
Mhm.
NBL. And then I just decided I want to do Pistons full time. So I'm
That's
trying
cool.
something new, but part of the reason I have to do it full time so I can do these streams and watch all the games in real time is I
Right.
can't have a normal job because it's literally like my 9 to 5.
Wow. Are you able
So
to watch the games pretty easy?
yeah, I just watch them on League Pass. See, we don't have that issue. So League
Blackout.
Pass internationally, I can watch every game. And it's like I think I pay like $150 for the whole year.
Wow.
Australian, which for you
Be-
guys is like $90 US.
Because I fell into the scam of doing League Pass, and it was such a bummer. So I live in Kentucky, so I
Yeah.
can't watch us when we play Indiana nor Memphis. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
okay.
what is the freaking
But,
point? I can't even watch like what is that? 8 games of the season. I mean, it's
I
eight games
mean,
of the season, but you feel like when you pay for something, you should be able to watch whatever, you know?
oh, it's no, I would be so frustrated. But there is a way around it. You can just get a
Yeah,
proxy
VPN
or
or
VPN, sorry. But yeah. But that's obviously just another
yeah.
layer.
Is there like a decent following of Detroit Pistons fans in Australia, or
I'm
are you a
finding
loner?
out no, there's definitely fans. I've had I don't know I reckon I've had like 30 to 40 reach out to me. There is some, and that a lot of them are older, and they're either from
The
like
Detroit
the
Bad Boys.
bad boys
Yeah.
or the going to work. Yeah, I think there's not many Pistons. Like I'm in my late 20s. There's not many Pistons who would be teenagers, Pistons fans. I don't think,
No,
just because they've been,
there.
yeah,
People will see me wearing my hat and be like, "Wow,
yeah,
haven't seen them since then." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." No, but just to get to the to the topic of
yeah,
our guys currently, man. If K doesn't become an All Star this season, I mean, it's Detroit versus everybody at the end of the day, you know. So I'm used to it, but he's definitely performing at an All Star caliber.
yeah,
Ji is. I'm hoping maybe next season see him break out in terms of that field, but I think we're trending upwards. Play-in would be amazing. Do I? Is that on my radar? I'm not putting that on my radar just yet.
What I know you set the bar low for your own sanity, but what would you like to see? I want to have you on this show plenty more times. You're welcome whenever. But if you were to just
Thank you.
say for the rest of the season, from what we've seen now so far, what would be your hopes, just in terms of a team record or a
So
place in the East? Yeah,
a lot of people are putting them at 30 to 35 games, right? And I remember when I first, not first, I remember last season when we got Asar Thompson and we were super hype on Monty Williams being an all-star development kind of coach and whatnot. Las Vegas actually put us up at 32 wins for the season. And obviously that didn't fall through. But for this season, I'm going to say the way we're trending statistically is around 30 to 35. If we
yeah,
can get anywhere to that 30 to 35 game win loss ratio, I'd be all right with it. If
yeah,
we make a play in 10, 9, that would be great. but it's our biggest problem is closing out games. And playing games are super competitive. You have to know how to close out a game. We'll blow out a team 20 to 25 points, and then
Yeah.
something in the third quarter just triggers in the guys
Yeah.
something, and they don't know how to handle you know
How to slow
switch
the
up.
other team.
Yeah, like when the coach decides to run different plays on them and kind of make adjustments, they just sometimes don't know how to handle it. And I don't know if that is a coaching staff issue necessarily, or if that's just our guys learning. But if we make the play in that, yeah, that would break all expectations, not just of mine, but like of almost everybody,
It
I
would.
think.
Yeah. No, it really would. And I think your prediction is very reasonable and honestly pretty much what I am at. For me, it's 30 wins is roughly the number, give or take a win or two either side. If they got to 35, I'd be elated and play in would just be that'd be so much fun. So
What
yeah.
was your initial thoughts when you first heard about JB Bickerstaff coming in?
Yeah.
Obviously, the acquisitions of Tobias, Tim Hardaway. Have your expectations been shattered since July,
I
August, September?
Yes, they're ahead of where I had them. Yeah. I think maybe the recent week and a half has made me come down a little bit. Like the first 15 games, I was like, wow, this is fun. They were like 7-9. I'm like, oh wow, they might actually like playoffs. But I think they're coming back to what we thought. And I've always had them around 28 wins, which is pretty much the same as everyone that's like around 30, was my
Right.
honest expectation just after last season and that kind of thing. But yeah, they're still trending ahead of where I thought. Like, and it's still every night, even when the games are like tonight, where they're pretty hard to watch. I still get very excited before every game this
Yeah.
season.
I mean, even the hard to watch games, I'll always try to look for because JB Bickerstaff will empty his bench, and so I always
Yeah,
try to look for okay, who's gonna like actually like grind it out and try to make a name for himself this
yeah,
during this blowout of a loss.
yeah.
But when I first seen all that, one, I think if we do actually end up making play in, it's potentially, yeah, in part our game, us doing much better than expected, but also other teams just going on a downward trajectory.
Yeah.
Um, and the way I've always looked at our team was I always compared it to other terrible not run organizations, but similar. You know,
Yeah,
not Detroit, the Orlando Magic.
yeah,
So if we can find ourselves where Orlando Magic is today in about 2 years, not 2 years, in 1 year,
yeah,
potentially 2 years, then that's where playoffs, hopefully every single season for the next 5 plus years.
definitely. And I mean, I will give you this little silver lining, but
Yeah,
I'm not saying this is going to happen, but that Magic team, they were obviously great from start to finish last season. But the season before that, they started like 5-25
yeah.
and then had a really massive turnaround
Was that
after
before
like,
Paulo?
no, they had Pala. I think it was his rookie season. So
Yeah,
they started off really bad. They're like
yeah, yeah.
and then they second half of the year. I don't think they made the play in, but they
Mm-mm.
really trended upwards, and that's what I still have hope for in the second half of this season, and why it's nice to chat to you. You're pretty level headed, because there's still so much time, and it doesn't feel like this team's just going to tank like they have
No,
for the past 4 years. So things can still get way better. They're still
we,
trying to figure things out. New coach, still a fair few new players in the rotation, at least.
we
There's
we
still
know
good stuff to come.
we know the feeling of winning. That was my entire thing. When we were, I think, 0-4, I was
Yeah,
starting to get a little nervous. I was like,
yeah,
oh, because I was like, these guys need to know what it feels like to win, not just close games, but blowout games. We need to be able to like just completely ruin a team for a night. So then it's just that gets ingrained in your identity. And
yeah,
because we have such young guys, so that's why when I saw Tim Hardaway, Tobias, um, even Paul Reed. Paul Reed has been what in the league 3, 4 years.
yeah,
Who's the other guy? Malik Beasley. How can I forget Malik? When I saw them come into our squad, and I was like, okay, that they know what it feels like to win. They know what it feels like to make clutch free throws. They know what it feels like to hit that corner three. with 5 seconds left, whatever,
Yeah.
But that's um, that's what I'm hoping for, just so we
Yeah.
can get more wins in our. The guys can just feel more comfortable, feel, you know what I mean, where they don't, because you probably notice it too. Whenever like something is, you can almost sense it, and I don't know if this is trauma from last season, but like once we start passing the ball around and then we just keep turnover after turnover and then their passes just don't look as confident, and I'm just like, what's going
Yeah.
on here? And I've only seen that
Confusion.
like once or twice, I think. Not the Knicks game. What was it? The game before the Knicks,
The
and it
Boston.
just
It was Boston as well. It might have been that.
okay. It was Boston, Knicks, Boston. I think it was Boston then, where we just kept passing the ball and they
Yeah.
just kept getting poked, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I just think after we keep winning more games like the Knicks, and then just beating the crap out of the Wizards,
Yeah.
um,
That was fun.
yeah, we'll definitely be more comfortable. Just a more comfortable team. Everyone's comfortable with each other. Everyone, each other. It seems like the locker room is super great. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited for the end of this season to see where we're at.
Same. Oh, I'm with you for sure. And I think on my, I don't know if it was on the most recent stream where I just did an episode with Pistons thoughts, but they were saying this time last year the Pistons record was like 2 and
Yeah.
22. And I was like, I obviously knew it was bad, but just hearing that, I was like, wow. So not saying like this team should be better than last season. I'm not saying anyone shouldn't be upset about tonight, but it's just a nice little reminder of
They
like
need to launch an investigation for last because at some point it was on purpose. There's no way you could lose that many times on accident. It just doesn't. It just
You know
wouldn't.
what's crazy? The Wizards. So they just had their own 16 game losing
Yeah,
streak.
yeah.
That's only just over halfway what the Pistons had. Like,
And that was yeah.
like that is insane. And
Like,
yeah, I guarantee you sat through and watched a lot of those games. I did.
oh
And
my
the people
god,
in the
I
comments
watched
here and watching would
so
have as
many.
well. Yeah.
What was crazy about that was a lot of those games weren't blowouts. A lot of them were like there was a good chunk of them where it was just like just terrible basketball, but a lot of them weren't like they were just beating the socks out of us. It was lost by two, lost by especially towards lost 25, 20 was it 24 through 28. It
Yeah.
was by one or two, by three, by four.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is unreal." And
Well,
it's just
like you just said, though, that's why it's been so important for them to get wins this year, and some of them big wins, and but also, like you said, just to blow out the poor teams like the Wizards, because
mhm.
last year in that stretch, like they just forgot how to win games, and the confidence was gone. Like,
And you can kind of see a little bit of it when we were like the close game against the Hornets. I think there was there was like 5 or 6 back-to-back close games where we closed out, I think maybe the majority of them against lower, not as good teams. But you can almost see like the feeling on some of our guys where they're like, all right, here we go, another crusher where we just something happens or whatever. And that happened one time against I think the Hawk was it the Hawks? No, it was the Hornets with
yeah,
Brandon Miller.
oh
That
yeah, that was,
ridiculous
yeah,
putback. But honestly, I'm excited. Like I'm good with where we're at.
yeah,
It would have been cool to see us beat Boston, especially with Jason Tatum out. But you know, things don't always. The three ball didn't fall at all. I think
no,
Malik Beasley should have got in there way earlier than JB Bickerstaff put him in. But
yeah. Would you
yeah.
start Beasley at this point over
The
THJ
only
or
issue, because he's a starter for sure. But the problem is our bench is we,
yeah?
we don't have anyone other than obviously Marcus, but and we don't have anybody on our bench. Especially if one guy goes out, we're on our third string. You
Yeah,
know,
good point. My I
um,
guess so for me, like I would maybe look to start Malik just because I feel like the starting group is but the Knicks game they started really well, but apart from that, 4 out of the past 5 games, I feel like the Pistons have just automatically got down by like 8 to 12 points early in games. And I feel like Tim Hardaway Jr. in theory can still be a microwave scorer off the bench
He
like
should be
Beasley.
able to
He's
be.
not
Yeah.
as good at it, but like I feel like making that swap, it might actually give THJ a bit of a jolt as well because he's in a bit of a funk. So, but I'm with you. I can see why JB has kept Malik there because you're so right. Like the bench just has no real scoring power. Like it's yeah.
It
So
doesn't have, yeah, it doesn't have much scoring, but also it gives so much. Having Malik on the floor gives so much more opportunity for even the other players. Like usually,
yeah,
whenever the bench comes in, the only other starter that stays is Jaden Ivey, right?
yeah,
He'll put Kate out, and Jaden Ivey will stay for a little bit. Stewart will come in, and then so that just opens up the floor for Jaden Ivey, and
yeah.
and obviously I think Ron Holland will also be in there sometimes, depending on the lineup. But yeah, no, I think if Asar gets one, I'm a little disappointed in his 3 point show out. I thought he was going to be a better 3 point shooter. I
No,
think he
that's
just needs to start, see one go down every once in a while. Maybe that'll get him in rhythm. But if once he becomes a 3 point threat, I think that's when the bench is going to become.
yeah.
And what do you think about Asar Thompson potentially getting a starting position role?
I think we will. Well, he's probably not going to. The only position he could take in a starting line would be Tim Hardaway Jr., which, because I think Tobias, no matter what's always going to start while he's on this roster for this season.
Yeah.
Just with the contract he has and the position he has within the team. But if I think for this season, Asar coming off the bench is probably what we will see because I think the starters just need a shooter at the three.
Yeah.
Um, whether you start Stewart or Duran, like both of them are just non-shooters. I know I'm like you. I wish we saw Stu shooting more threes this season
Mhm.
because it's a cool development. But I think for Asar, like I'm a little bit more patient on like the 3 point shot coming around percentage wise, but I'd like to see him shoot it more. Just take
Yeah.
them, especially like I don't know if he attempted one tonight. I'm just quickly pulling it up.
I thought he got one in the top of the key, and then
Yeah,
defender backed up, and then
yeah,
he tried taking it in. I'm just like, that's the Otisar. I wish he would just
yeah. Jack
spot
it
up,
up.
shoot it, just not even think about it, just
Yeah.
straight up shoot it.
It feels like he's kind of confident in the corners. Like he's made a
Oh yeah,
couple few
corners, yeah,
corners and
yeah,
he'll take those. But and maybe that's just what he's being told to do by the coaching staff.
potentially.
But I'm still really excited about his overall, and I think he's going to get to a point where he's an average 3 point shooter, which is huge for him, and what he can do. So,
So do you think
uh,
that the vets deserve the contract for next season?
which
From
vets? Tobias.
Tim, Beasley. Wait, I
Oh,
know
should they
they
re-sign
all didn't
them?
get 1 years, but I think
Sorry, my bad. I thought so. I think THJ probably won't be on the Pistons next season, or if he is, it'll be on like a
yeah.
minimum type deal. But I don't know. Beasley, I think they should extend. I think, and it's obviously the on court, but the off court stuff with him, I think, is huge. I really believe in like him being a leader and
Oh,
just a
most definitely.
good energy because that's last season. The vets, like Boyan's like, I mean, he was a bit washed last season, but they were poor, but none of them were ever on the court, and it doesn't. I don't think any of them were really locker
It was
room
just
leaders.
it was just there to collect a check. He didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think Beasley, what you're seeing is, yeah, he talks a bit, and I love it. Some
Oh, I
people,
love it.
I love it. I think he just fits the culture of Detroit really well, and his bucket. But I think off the court, he really lifts the spirits of this team. Like, guarantee, like he'd be one of the loudest guys in the locker room tonight after a game like that. And I think that's really important for confidence and everything.
Have you been to the States?
No, oh yes, yeah. I've been 3 times. I just haven't been to Detroit.
Just not Detroit.
No, because I don't want to bore you. I went to Summer League 2 years ago, or 2023 Summer League. I was only there for 5 days. I was just
Right.
purely there and the Pistons were there, and that was fun. I've seen the Pistons play once in person in Boston, and they won in Cade's rookie season. The last time they won there, I was there. But I've just been to New York a couple of times.
You would absolutely love it in Detroit.
I'm trying to get there this season. I've got some things in the works, but
Okay.
I'm really trying to my
Let me
best
know.
to make that.
Definitely let me know if you're ever up in Detroit. I'm about a 5 hour drive from there, but I go there plenty of times.
Love it. I thought Kentucky was further away. And I don't know where
Um,
anything is really.
yeah, no, I mean it's a good drive, about five
Yeah.
hours.
No, man. Oh, for sure. But whenever I get this trip locked in, I'll be letting yourself know and everyone know because there's so many people I just want to meet, catch a
Yeah.
game with, and it's going to be so fun.
You'll probably be on the jumbo screen or something. Australian
this,
fan.
this Australian, this Aussie bloke. You know what's funny? So when I went to Summer League, I went there and I was writing. I was there to do some content for the page I was writing for, Detroit Bad Boys, which is like SB
Oh,
Nation,
that was
and
your page? Okay, cool.
no, I don't own that page. I was
Oh,
just
okay, okay.
writing there,
I
and I
got
could
you.
get a credential through my editor there. Like I used to do writing, I don't now,
Right.
but and it was so funny. You know, Keith. Oh no, Vince Ellis. He used to cover the Pistons. He now works for them. He was a beat writer. He was
Okay.
like,
Okay,
"You're
yeah,
that
I'm
crazy."
familiar with a lot of beat writers. I don't know
Yeah,
them,
he's
but
like,
I
"You're that
look them.
crazy Pistons guy from Australia." He's like, "You're insane flying over here." I'm like, dude, I love it.
Was that like on a podcast or something? I think I heard him say something like
No,
that.
he said that to me in person when we were out the
Oh,
back before the players were getting interviewed. Like, because it's just like a little media
yeah,
scrum, and it was him and Keith, who writes for Pistons.com, like the
yeah.
team's writer. They were really nice, but they were just like, "You're insane coming from Australia to this
Dude,
to Summer League." Like, hey, do what you do. If you love something, I'm gonna make it
not
happen.
just that, but finally seeing all that hard work finally pay off at watching games, yeah, game after game. Dude, all my buddies, they told me they're like, if the Pistons are ever up, I'm gonna be the first one to tell everyone you're not a bandwagon. I've been
Absolutely.
watching since, yeah, and just to end off everything because I'm actually getting ready to have to go.
Yeah,
I'm
for
excited.
sure.
Like I said, I'm excited for where we're headed. I think we're gonna be a great contending team. Play not playoff spot necessarily. Like next season, the way it's looking, if we can get up to 8, 7, 6, I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah.
I like a slow burn. You know what I mean? Getting Cade going, getting and dude, if Cade isn't an all star this season,
Oh, we
again,
riot.
Detroit versus everybody, but
We riot.
yeah, but yeah, no, the future is bright. I really and I love JB. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of hated it for him when he did leave the Cavs, and I saw that they went 14-0, and
Yeah.
I was like, now he probably like has this weird, you know what I mean? Was I the
Yeah.
problem? But Cavs team, their organization is really good anyway. So,
Yeah. No.
but I'm excited for everything. Finally,
Same, man.
the main news isn't the owner of the Detroit Pistons because that was
Yeah.
driving me insane.
Can you believe I know you gotta go, but can you believe there was sell the team chants? And then
Oh
at
my
one
god.
point, there was fans with paper bags on their heads.
Oh, you don't know this. I forgot to tell you. We were actually at the game for the Raptors game.
Oh, the one they break the
Yeah.
streak.
I
Wow.
brought my buddy who is a diehard Lakers fan,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
was watching it with me, and he's like, "You guys are fun to watch. This is a great arena." It's just like I don't get it. I don't get why
Yeah.
you guys went on a 28. I don't understand it.
Pistons fans, like, obviously, I haven't been to Detroit, but I think the Pistons are literally one of the most, like, prestigious franchise in the
Oh,
NBA. Like, 3
and
championship.
people show out, dude. It's not
They
just
do.
yeah,
Yeah. They really do. So
but
they've just been subjected, like you've been through it. I've only been a fan since 2012, but I feel like I've seen pretty much no success as well.
no,
Like
2012 is it's a lot.
yeah, it's a
Trust
lot.
me. Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's a lot of games.
we are all gonna be so grateful. Like, and that's why, yeah, it's so nice. Like chatting to you, like you've just got such a good perspective, I feel like, on this team. Like, yeah, tonight's frustrating, but overall, what did you say earlier? The darkness is fading. I really
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. The
I really
darkness
like
is
that.
fading. The
Yeah.
shadows are fading.
Yeah,
The light isn't really at the end of the tunnel, but we're making headway. It's
we are.
finally.
We are, my
But
man.
all right,
Well,
my friend, it was really nice chatting with you.
absolutely. And please, as I said, like you can join anytime after
I
any
appreciate that.
game.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
so enjoy the rest of your night and hopefully we're chatting after a win next time.
Yep, most definitely. Have a good
All
one.
right, man. See ya.
See ya.
Let's go. Getting a new guest on gives me energy. I forgot that we lost. So Um, sorry if I've missed some questions in here, guys. I know you've been chatting away. Just it's always I get excited with any guest, obviously, but just whenever someone new comes on, it's always really exciting to meet a new Pistons fan face to face virtually. So I'm just gonna scroll through these. See an ink, Drake M, shout out, Adrian Grayson. I saw Derek Brown in here, my guy. You guys all support the hell out of the channel. I appreciate it so much. So let's see what you guys are kicking around. Here's Johnny. Have you been in here before? What happened? We've kind of spoken about the game. The Celtics are just too good. Pistons kind of didn't show up, but Boston are just really, really good. Derek Brown, our team's too small. Is that meant to be like our teams? Because I think that's definitely a good call. I think the Pistons are too small. Like, I think once like Asar and Ron obviously have decent size on the wings, but they're still probably too young to be relying on them to play huge minutes on the wing. Like that's why they have Tim Hardaway Jr. and Beasley, but both of them are undersized and struggle a little bit defensively. And then at the center position, like Paul Reed tonight, like I thought Big Ball Paul's been solid when he's got minutes, but tonight he just felt way too small. Like, and Stu will play above his size, but at the end of the day, he's undersized, like 6'8". So, yeah, the Pistons are too small. And like Tobias has decent size, but he's just at a stage of his career where he's just not the most effective, at least this season is in particular. Oh, Austin, I just saw you pop up. You want to jump on? Oh, hang on. Would love if you have some time. Yes. Sorry. I was just reading your earlier DM. Sorry, I haven't replied. I'm going to get you a link now. One moment. We'll get you up here for a quick chat. This will be good. We'll close it out with Austin here. Do you think, Derek Brown, do you think K-Dive and Asar can all work together in the future? Yes, I do. I really do. And I like JB actually at the start of the fourth played Cade, Ivy, Ron, and Asar together, which obviously isn't a lineup that's going to be work at this point of their careers and development. But I like to see him getting them some minutes together because they're the young guys, for me at least, that you're probably going to build around. Definitely two of them and maybe three. So I think those three definitely can work together. But plenty more development's needed. All right, we got my man Austin here. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, man? Can you hear
Are
me?
you on a balcony?
I am, yes.
Whereabouts?
My
Is this your apartment?
It is, yes.
Got you. I love it.
What's
going on, man?
You guys talking Pistons really got me riled up. I was like, I got to jump on, man. Like it.
I
don't know.
I appreciate you tuning in.
No, it's good. Like, I think the toughest part for this game for me was just that they come off, 4 days off and still looked like that.
Yeah.
But kind of like you guys were saying today, like once you kind of get past that initial anger, like it was the Celtics. They take your soul when they hit 3 threes in a row, and the place is going crazy. Like, so
Yeah.
it's tough. But I really liked all the optimism that was just shown from the last person who was on. I didn't get his name, but
Yeah.
really, really helped me out. It was like, okay, yeah, we're moving in the
Same.
right direction. We are moving in the right direction.
No, definitely. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, that second quarter, I was really frustrated because they were down by 9 points. Felt like they were maybe crawling back into it. And then, like you said, Boston hit like 4 threes in a row. Porzingis blocks, Beasley, crowd's going crazy. And you feel like it's done. Like, that moment, I'm angry. But, like, zooming out, like, honestly, Boston they're a way better team than the Pistons, like, even without
Yeah.
Tatum. And I don't think that's
Well,
a bad thing. It's just the truth.
it's just crazy when you have them all, and it's Pritchard and Derek White and Drew Holiday, and they're all just pulling, even Porzingis or Horford, and they get across half court, and it's like you got to step up. And the Pistons, the way they run those switches, as soon as there's any type of dribble penetration, it's somebody's open, and they swing the ball so well. It's just like
But
that's
I'm
the
not.
kind of team when you're watching them, you're like, man, I can't wait to see the Pistons play like this. Like they're a team, and it's just good to it's good basketball to watch. Sometimes shooting 53s a game, I think is kind of
a bit
weird,
much.
but yeah, it's a little bit much. But no, good game. I mean, not good game, but optimism. I guess you
Yeah,
could tell I'm super optimistic right now for the team for some
I love
reason.
it. Well,
I,
I think what
one
you
thing that I think
no, you go.
just really
My
quick,
bad.
just one thing I think, and I mean, it's hard to see how much he'll actually affect it, but I'm really excited to see where Bobby Klintman can come in and produce for this team. Um, I guess I don't know his actual size, but he can play that 3 or 4 position. He can shoot the ball pretty well. Like his playmaking skills, I feel like are there a lot. So like maybe he comes in and he can help that second unit when Cade goes out with playmaking. If you have Ivy running the one and maybe as Asar playing in that role as well, so you kind of get that where you don't need to go get a backup point guard right away, and you can maybe focus on the center situation. But again, you have to see what that looks like. But there was some video of him shooting around today and getting some shots up, I think, against
Yeah, no,
Paul
there
Reed.
there was. Yeah,
So that was just really good to see, and yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it was just the fact that the Pistons played after 4 days. It was just like, oh, good, they're
a
finally back.
letdown.
Like,
Yeah, I know. It was a letdown for sure. Like, but I'm with you. Like Bobby, like if he can actually, first of all, like if he can shoot the ball like he did at Summer League, then if I'm JB, like, and if I'm Simone Fontecchio, I'm a little bit worried about my minutes because
yeah,
Fontecchio, I think, has been shooting the ball better lately, but everything else in his game, like maybe it was there last season. I just wasn't as focused on it because he had more minutes and the team was so bad. But yeah, it. Someone mentioned it earlier, he's been a bit disappointing, and I could see Bobby if that shot like translates early, maybe
hmm
taking some of those minutes. And I love that you bring up the passing as well because that second unit needs it.
yeah, badly, badly.
Yeah,
I mean, it really showed today. It was kind of reminiscent of that Knicks game. Um, as soon as Cade went out, I think the balloon to a 10-point lead. Cade comes back in, gets down to 6, like early on. But it's tough when you don't really have. And, maybe Asar will pick some of that up when he's actually playing more than 2 minutes at a time. I mean, that's tough to watch too. He comes in and before you know it, he's already sitting on the bench. It's like,
yeah.
man, did he even play? Like, I didn't even notice him out there. But I was hoping he would get a little more run today after the 4 days. Like I was hoping maybe he had gotten a little more conditioning in, but that'll just kind of come as it comes. And it's hard to watch right now, but he'll be out there more minutes, and that'll be good. But no, honestly, I really just like it was really the Clinton stuff that like I saw that video today, and I was like, yeah, like
So have you? Because
that's another one
have
of
you
those
seen
exciting
much of
things.
that from Bobby? I don't think I've seen him like because normally the beat reporters will get up clips of players shooting for the game. I don't think I've seen Bobby out on the floor like before tip off like that shooting. Normally he's in
Yeah,
street clothes already, but I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I saw just like one other one, and it was like one of their practices, and it was just like him and Cade, and I think
Yeah,
Jaden were shooting around or something. But other than that, yeah, so that's good progress to see. I mean, when it comes to the Pistons and their injury reports, they're always super vague about stuff. Like
yeah.
Cade's rookie year, he had an ankle sprain, but he was out for like 2.5 weeks, and it was like they weren't saying anything about it. It kind of feels the same with this, is they're just
Yeah.
not really telling you exactly what it is, but no, I guess just in general, tough loss. Veterans didn't really come out to play very much today. I have a theory that as Malik Beasley goes, is how the game goes. Um,
Oh.
like Cade's always going to get his own. If Malik Beasley's making shots, I feel like with that second unit, that's kind of when the team really is like there for it. Like I feel like he brings the energy off the bench, and if he's not making shots, then that second unit just has nothing at all. So,
There's actually a stat that won't directly correlate to this, but if you give me 1 second, I can
oh, for
see
sure.
it's just his stats in wins and losses. Um, you can see it probably won't have tonight updated, but there's normally a stat we can find the splits. Because I'm with you. I feel like because he's normally so vital that like when he checks in halfway through the first quarter, he'll normally come in and knock down a couple of threes to really get like the offense flowing and everyone's confidence up. So in wins, I mean, he's shot the ball so well regardless. But in wins, he's pretty much giving you 19 points. In losses, he's giving you 13 points.
Yeah,
And he's 3 points percentage around the same, but it's like an 8% drop off in field goal, down from like
yeah.
47 to 40. So yeah,
And
you're onto something for sure.
even in those 6 points, I feel like those usually come at crucial moments. Like he
Yeah.
usually will hit some to stop the runs where it's like, okay, they just got one, now we get one. And it's like you'll have times like today where he'll miss a couple, and that's obviously not worth flipping him off as he's walking through the tunnel, but it is what it is. But
Insane.
um, yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of watching and like, yeah, man, I don't know. You see Cade and he does the things that he does, and like you guys just said, if he's not an all-star this year, like, uh, I'm just so annoyed with how the NBA kind of picks and chooses how they want to look at if a player is good based off wins or losses,
Yeah.
like on their team. Because I think everybody in the NBA can say like, the dude's a stud. He's out there for it, and maybe the team isn't performing that well, but they've obviously taken a step forward this year. So I hope he's there. But who knows with the NBA and how they handle things. So
Oh, I'm reasonably confident. Like, obviously, a lot of it's always going to come back to, which, like you said, can be a bit annoying, is the win loss. But like, he's had plenty of like a few big moments, like that Knicks game, triple double, career high assists,
yeah,
beating New York pretty convincingly. Like, that's a game that like national media pay attention to. He had the big game against the Hawks earlier in the season, game-winning shot, game-winning block. He's had some big-time performances, triple-double against the Lakers in a win. So I think he's done enough with what we've seen to get enough consideration. It's just about hoping the team can keep it up, because I feel like the team has been slipping a little bit recently. It just feels like
yeah.
something's not the same.
Yeah, and it's really hard to say what it is because I mean they have that such high confidence. Like after that Pacers game, it was like okay, I felt like they were really ready to turn a corner after that game. It was like, they finally defeated the demon that was the Indiana Pacers and all that trash talk, and they did it on the road, and it was like, oh yeah, one more game, we're going to and then they got blown out by the Sixers, and you get blown out by the Bucks, and I feel like that was kind of a gut punch for them, honestly, of like, okay, maybe we're not as good as we thought we were, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's just kind of fighting back from that of like, okay, like, because I think after the Bucks lost their, where did they go after
Bucks.
that?
Then they lost to Boston the
Okay, it
first
was the
time.
Bucks.
Cade
Okay.
played really well. They actually got it quite close in the end, but it never really felt like they were going to
Yeah,
win,
that was
if
like
you
the
know what I mean.
first half. They were down by like 20, I think. It started super slow, but I think those are the kind of things that this team didn't get to grow from last year that I think they're learning from this year. Monty, I think he did such mental damage to this team and how they look at bad losses that that really is how they have to play this season out as that second year for Jaden Ivey and Kate's third year, really only second year because he had that injury his whole second year. So it's tough because you're like, oh man, these guys are right there, but you really gotta you have to remember like last year was such a
Yeah.
anomaly. I feel like for a lot of their careers, like it really did some damage to them. So
Yeah.
kind of just have to roll with the punches this year. As much as it sucks, as much as a Pistons fan, you're like, I've been rolling with the punches for 10 years. Like I'm sick
Yeah.
of doing that. Like
Yeah.
like this seems like one of those times where it's like this time they're gonna get back up. It's just gonna take some time.
Yeah. I
They're
think
young. They're still young. They're still super young. Like, and
that
they
they
still
are.
have the world in front of them. So
The key thing I think you mentioned there as well is like that Pacers game. I was like you. I was like, oh, right, this could be a point where we look back in the season and it's like, wow, the Pistons from that point were like not a 500 team, but it was they really like stamped their authority and like, wow, that's a real milestone moment. And then they had the 3 letdown games, or 2 in particular, like you said. But I think the main thing is just Jaden Ivey since that Pacers game just hasn't been the
yeah,
same. And you kind of expect him with his inconsistency to have a couple of down games, but he normally doesn't go 5 games. Or I guess this season at least, I don't think he's had a stretch this long this bad in prior seasons, sure. So that's probably been a bit disappointing for me. Is like I thought tonight after some rest he can reset, but he just didn't have it at all. Hit a couple of threes, but like
Yeah,
just
I think Kyle put it in the comments earlier, like wasn't playing with any confidence. And I think
yeah,
one of his things right now, he really just isn't playing to his strengths. I think he's really relying on his jump shot, which has gotten better, but his strength is his speed and his strength to get downhill and make layups. And we haven't really been seeing a lot of that. And I think that has been a big problem for him because like he's in charge of that point guard role of where he has to, try to kind of do everything when he's in that second unit. And I think that kind of messes with him a little bit because then he's starting to think about, should I pass this? I think, one of his biggest issues is the jump passes that he makes. And I think in those instances, he goes up maybe initially thinking, I'm going to shoot the ball. And then it's like, okay, well, now I got to pass it. Like, because I'm the point guard, I have to distribute, I have to get my guys involved. Like, so I think he just has to play to his strengths of just getting to the rim. I mean, he said it just the last person you had on said like their free throw shooting has been an issue this year. And I mean, he's kind of been one of those people. He's had some issues at the free throw line. Like maybe again, that confidence, he's just worried about missing free throws when he gets there. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think again, you got to think. I was watching, oh gosh, I can't remember his name. Kenny Beecham,
Oh yeah,
the NBA guy. They were kind of talking about things that the Pistons. He was reading a report and he brought up that it was like I completely forgot just how bad Monty Williams treated him last year, to where
yeah,
he was playing Killian Hayes 35 minutes a game over him, and so again, it's just he's got to learn to be consistent, and
yeah,
it's a rough stretch for him. I think he'll come out of it. I think he's got the confidence to be that person. He's just got to continue to do it. So
yeah. No, I think definitely the confidence thing is a great thing to raise because yeah, he just didn't really attack the paint like you said. He's not really. It's great the jumpers improved, but that should be like when he's on the ball and like is in that backup point guard position. Like I want him attacking as much because when he gets into the paint, that's when he can like kick it out. Um,
mhm.
so hopefully he can turn it around because to be honest, like even in year 3, I just think having 5 down games like this when the Pistons really need a second guy who can create,
Yeah.
is probably it's fair to call him out a little bit. If it was just
Oh,
3 games, I
absolutely.
wouldn't do it. But I think it's like you have to be better because we've seen you this season, like be that guy to help
Hmm.
win a game or two here. Like he's had obviously some highlight moments with the game winner, but that Pacers game, like him and K together were man, that was like highlight of the season
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even thinking back to the Raptors game, he hit that game winner. Like, he's
yeah,
had his moments this year. So,
yeah,
but I won't
for
I
sure.
won't keep you on. I know you've been on for a while, so I just wanted to
That's okay.
kind of hop on and talk about the optimism that I was feeling. So,
I love it.
appreciate you as always, man.
Of course, my brother. Thank you so much. And I'm a bit sad the Magic wasn't there tonight,
It
but
wasn't there well, to be fair, I don't think I sent it early enough. I sent it like 20 minutes before the game. So, we'll,
but I
we'll
appreciate you jumping on, my man. I always love chatting with you. So you enjoy the rest of your night and hopefully see you up here soon.
all right. See you later, man.
All right, catch you, man. Bye. All right, guys. How good is that? We had 2 guests up in the end. You got 20 minutes of me at the start. And then thankfully we got some guests on here to restore some optimism because tonight was rough. Like, no question about it. Some disappointing moments. But I still just think it's important to reiterate that things are still going reasonably well. I'm not saying they're going amazing, but things are still trending upwards for me at least. So, um, Nuggy says here, hopefully Caden Ivey can develop into Sonic and Knuckles, man. We need those two to have good nights to really win. Literally just talking about it with Austin. Couldn't agree with you more, Nuggies. I'm craving for that game where both Caden and Ivy give you like 24, 25 points each, just playing off each other and excelling in their role. Like, I don't expect that every night, but like we need that Jaden to come back pretty soon for himself and obviously the team's sake. Um, that Sean For Real, Antos 17, and Sean Merlin. Hi. Hey, Jack. Great work. Being a diehard since 86. Yes, I'm old. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you for the comment and love the dedication to the team. Since 1986, that's nearly 40 years. So shout out. C and Inc. Clinton better than Harris. I think Bobby's gonna be fun. I just also he looked great at Summer League. I just also hope that we don't have too high expectations for him. But I'm excited to watch him. So I love the optimism around him. Is this serious, Nuggies? To be fair, if everything goes well, Clinton will just be a mini Chris Stapps. Maybe offensively, I'm not sure. Defensively, Chris Stapps is pretty crazy on that end. But I love the optimistic take. Couldn't agree with you more on this. Seeing Celtics passing is on another level, though. We can barely pass out turning it over. So this is what I was going to say when Austin was talking. You are true here, Seeing. But the reason Boston are so hard to guard is they play 5 out and everyone can shoot. Yes. But apart from Kristaps Porzingis, everyone can dribble into the paint and kick it out. So as soon as they dribble in, yes, you would hope the Pistons can keep their guards out of the paint, but it's not the easiest thing when the floor is so spread out. So when the Boston, all they have to do is get one little bit of dribble penetration, and it forces a Piston to rotate baseline, and then you're just playing catch up with trying to find the open man. And so many times Boston just get open threes from that. Like, it's actually masterful the way they've built their team and run their offense. Even if I don't like watching them just jack up threes the whole time, because everyone can dribble past, shoot, it's actually in. All they have to do is one drive into the paint. That forces an extra man, which then opens up another Celtic in the corner. And then you just swing the ball around the three. And that's why their ball movement looks so good. And it is so good. But it's because of their personnel and the way they play. The Pistons, though, on the other hand, they don't have guys that can all dribble past and shoot. So when Cade drives, that's why I tweeted out a photo. There's 3 Celtics collapsing on him because you've got Ron Holland in one corner, which you don't have to defend. You've got Isaiah Stewart rolling to under the basket, which brings another defender. And then you have Fontecchio in the corner who, to be honest, with who he is so far in his career, a team like the Celtics, who are, when you've got the lead as well, you're probably just going to, collapse on Cade like they did and make Fontecchio beat you with the corner 3. Like, make him hit 2 corner 3s before you commit to him because he hasn't, he's not a proven shooter. So, you're so right with this, but I hope, I don't know if that makes any sense what I said, but that's why I think it looks the way it does. What else we got in here? Preseason Ivy will come back. He will come back. I believe that. I just hope it's very soon because this team really needs it. They need a jolt because whilst the veterans struggled tonight, Ivy still needs to be this team's second scorer, in my opinion, or at least tied with Malik Beasley. Nuggies. I'm not too worried about Ivy. Like you guys said, he's not playing to his strength. He's scoring guard who has the ability to make some. Just need a guy to let him focus on scoring more. Yeah, I agree. And I'd like to see him just get into the paint a bit more. And like you said there, play to his strengths. Nugs. A lot of nuggies. Would you package Ivy and Duran? I mean, it's a pretty open question, but I would Jalen Duren, I'm open to a deal for him. I'm not saying ship him out right now, but I'm just, from what we've seen, if there's a deal there that makes sense, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Ivy, I'm holding my stock on. Obviously, if it's Ivy for a fringe all-star that's in their prime, then maybe I'm considering it. But if it's just, I'm not sending Ivy away for Ingram or Levine. So I hope that kind of answers your question. Whereas I would send Duren away for Ingram and Levine. Thank you for the question, though, Nugs. Appreciate you. Sean says here, no need to get too down about this one. I think we all knew that we're not on the same level as Boston. I'm happy that 1888 is a bad game for Cade. I agree, Sean. No need to get too down. You can be frustrated in the game, of course, but I've certainly had my moments this season where I've wanted to come on here and blast the team and probably just overreact myself. But I think where I'm settling at now is I'm the same view as you, Sean. No need to get too down, but you just can't have too many of these in a row. Tough stretch. At Boston, and then you play at New York and then at Boston again. Like, that's tough. Like, I'm happy they got one win. Tonight's disappointing, no question about it, but it's hard to really be fired up and truly angry at those results. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it here. Shout out as always to everyone in the comments. Got Drake M here, Cian Inc., Nuggies, Derek Brown, Sean Haddix, Austin for joining me. Really enjoyed this stream, and considering the result tonight, I've had a really good time. So thank you for joining, and enjoy the rest of your night. And we'll be back for hopefully a win against Miami Heat on Monday night. But until then, as always, go Pistons.